Number one, I really believe that people who I know, who, I've interacted with over the years, whether in Los Angeles, in the music community, or, elsewhere, people I've kept up with on social media, people who are justifying being happy about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Oh, is this Abbott Kinney? Yeah, it is. Good. Now you know where I am. People who are justifying their relief or happiness at the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I submit to you that they are not that familiar with him and his work and how he conducted his debates. The soundbite wherein he allegedly said, okay, let me start over. The soundbite in which he allegedly said that some gun deaths were a fair price, the price to pay for liberty that would give us. This is what he actually did say. Some gun deaths are worth the price. They are the price of liberty, because they allow us to protect our other rights. He said that in various forms, in various venues, at various times. But what he also said every single time I heard it was, there are 50,000 automobile-related deaths per year. And yet we allow citizens to drive their own cars. I think some people might be trying to change that. It's too bad because our citizenry has been dumbed down so much that, it's questionable whether some people should be driving, and maybe we need to make the test more, a lot more difficult. It's not difficult at all. But he said that as a qualifier, and this is what I would consider a moral quandary. A moral quandary is when you have measurable statistics on cause of death, cause of mortality in this country and on the planet, and you are aware of risks and dangers that exist in our world. For instance, driving a car and riding in a car is more dangerous than riding in an airplane statistically, mostly because an airplane carries much more people and therefore is a more rare event, and you have a pilot who is responsible for, you have one pilot responsible for maybe 200 people, whereas in a car you have one person responsible for just themselves or 4 other people, and therefore it increases the odds that somebody operating that smaller vehicle will make a mistake. That's why it's less safe than airplane travel, statistically. So, and if you watched him, whenever this was brought up, he was very thoughtful and courteous toward the person who was debating him. He even said, more than once, well, that's a fair point. Well, you're not wrong. Or, yeah, that's true. Or, I can see where you're going there. And so to take something out of context and then justify being happy about his elimination from the debate, the global debate, and the literal elimination of his voice is pretty weak sauce, because like so many things in our world, and I am very guilty of this, we often don't go back to the source, back to the full quote, back to the original thing that we are talking about. We seize upon what an associate or an acquaintance or somebody we follow has said, and we figure that they know what they're talking about, and they're outraged, so then we have permission from ourselves to be outraged. This is something that I have done many times. I don't think I've done it quite as recently because I've noticed it about myself, and I will often, even though there's a big payoff, from being outraged and getting on social media and expressing what you are, what your beliefs are. There's a big payoff for doing it right away. I have stopped myself, and I have gone and searched for the original offending clip for the context. And every time I've done that over the last 8 years, I have been to an occurrence every single time. I have been humbled and realized that, well, it wasn't exactly what I thought. And this is on all sides of the political spectrum and ideology. And I was so glad and thanked my stars that I had gone and looked. It never hurts to go and look. It never hurts to take the time to go back to the original clip, which isn't hard. A child can do it nowadays. And listen to it, watch it, and then make a decision. This is a very teachable moment, but it's not the only one. It's not the only teachable moment we're getting from this situation. Now, most of you probably know. Hi there. You know, this is the first time since the pandemic that I am getting a live chat on my YouTube videos, and I'm grateful for you watching. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. I got several people watching. So I have somebody that I know from the music world in Los Angeles. I actually performed at their venue, and this person was justifying their celebration of Charlie Kirk's assassination by saying he was not a good person. He was a bad person. How about being sad about the children who have been killed in mass shootings? Now, here's the second teachable moment. The second teachable moment. What? You want to know what? The second teachable moment from the whole thing and the fallout from Charlie Kirk's brutal and shocking assassination in public with thousands of people watching is that the gun issue is misunderstood. No, I don't think I'm smarter than everyone else at all, but I have really, really thought about it. So let's think about this. I did a video a few days ago on why homicidal people, such as the guy that's now in custody, which is a whole other matter I'll talk about, but if you haven't heard, his name is Tyler Robinson. What a generic name. But he's from Utah, from southern Utah, and he was a student at UVU. So something that people have a misconception about mass shootings, and the homicidal people, let's say they've never done anything violent before. Well, that is truly a threat because you don't have any information. But for the most part, when you look at, who are you? you have frowny face? Okay. But if you look at the record of mass shootings at schools and other places, you will see that there were warning signs. People who are security experts will talk about how when there is a shocking act of violence, that there are always some warning signs. The problem is people pass the universal background check, which is a requirement. It is a federal form that you fill out when buying a gun, even at a gun show. And This is why, the reason why past mass shooters have passed the background check is because the warning signs were not in the database. And that's a really basic principle and a basic fact. And clearly it's like, well, what do we do about that? Because the warning signs could be even in someone's own family. Now, I made a study of mass shootings. Where am I driving at? Well, that could be metaphorical, or it could be where am I actually driving right now? I live in Los Angeles, and I'm going to be going live on several platforms, so I'm just taking my route from the school to home. And what I'm driving at, metaphorically, is that people who think that we haven't passed enough laws to prevent mass shootings, or the right kind of laws, which would be, let's take guns away from, everyone. This is just, it's beyond time to take guns away. We have to do this, I would submit, and I would suggest that they have not thought things through. And sadly, it is because of the spin of omission. The spin of omission from the gun debate is, number one, that the databases are woefully incomplete, that the localities and states have very patchwork reporting, just as they have for all crime and hate crimes. So now I'm going to be parked. Yeah, hi. Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad I answered your question. So the gun debate, yeah, and there's really patchwork reporting in general about any previous crime or arrest that didn't end up in charges or anything like that. Any interface with the law, we don't get that real-time reporting. We don't get the reporting on that information, sometimes for many months and sometimes not at all. Okay, now, when I was about to say, when I've done studies of mass shootings, I've also looked at the studies in Europe. And this is because, do you remember that terrorist attack at the Bataclan Theater in Paris, when that band was playing, the American rock band was playing, and it was so terrible. Everybody put up French flags in solidarity with Paris, remember? A lot of people died. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, you can't just get a gun in France. So how did they smuggle them in? Well, clearly the ball is being dropped on all this stuff. So I don't know exactly how those terrorists got guns, but I do know that in mass shootings in general, the young men who have carried these out often are military, come from a military family in Europe, and they get access. This was true of Norway. I don't know if he came from a military family, but he got some money, I think, somehow, and he used that Breivik to basically go through the waiting period patiently and get all that ammunition. And then the guy in Christchurch in New Zealand had some connections. I think he also came into some money. But my point is, you're not going to stop this phenomenon by taking guns away. We've seen this in stabbings in Europe, and we've also seen this in public stabbings now, just with the Ukrainian refugee, sadly. Why do people watch my video? I don't know. Why are you watching? Anyway, so Charlie Kirk was on the trail of this, just like me, concerned about this. What I said after the Uvalde shooting, at Robb Elementary, ROBB, was I said we need to treat our children and our schools like we do jewelry stores. They have multiple lines of defense to protect their merchandise. Children are priceless. So it's not that we want to arm teachers, which when you trot out that idea, everybody's just like, oh God, no. Is that where we're at? That's the level that we're at now. We got to arm teachers, you know. But it's more than that. I mean, I remember going into my son's kindergarten, a public school. It was a K through 5th. And it was very easy to get in. You would buzz and they could see you on the camera and they would let you in. I covered education when I was in college. I covered the local Evanston High School at Northwestern University. And, you know, there are varying degrees of like, who are you? What is your business here when you approach a school? And sadly, it's not uniform. And even though there was a police department in the Uvalde school system, it failed everyone. All it takes is a back door that's left open. So it requires vigilance and the infrastructure to protect a school. And some people, some schools, especially private schools, are doing that now. And that's what it takes. It takes a priority because we have sickos and many, if someone, I heard a pretty well-respected influencer saying, if someone wants to kill you, you can't stop them. Well, I don't completely agree with that. I think if you're aware that you might be a target, there are things you can do. But as we saw with Charlie Kirk, I heard he was wearing a bulletproof vest. I even heard that the bullet bounced off the bulletproof vest. I don't know if that's true. I actually haven't unedited or unpixelated video. I haven't even I haven't seen a close-up of the moment of impact because I don't want to at this point. I'm way too sensitive emotionally, and I'm empathetic. Hi. What's Max? Why are you doing that? Maybe it's because of you saw my image. I don't know. I don't know if you're my follower or not. But in any case, if you believe that you know the solution to the ending of these shootings and then that the politicians are not enacting them, then you might justify vigilantism. But vigilantism is never an option, taking the law into your own hands. I'd like to talk about this more, but I have to go to work. And I think my next live is going to be on Facebook. I'll probably be trying to do this on my breaks throughout the day. I'm not finished with my discussion of people who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, but I feel like it's a lot to digest what I've been ruminating over the last couple of days. And why do people watch my video? I would just say, for those who don't know me, that I'm an award-winning journalist. I'm currently independent. And I went to the top journalism school in the United States, Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, the Medill School of Journalism. I focused on broadcast journalism. I learned how to edit and how to be on camera. When I was a daily newspaper reporter, I spearheaded the webcast in the early days of new media. And I have also, since I was 7 years old, I have followed politics because my parents did. And I am a deep thinker. And if you are a deep thinker, I welcome you. So please follow if you can. And I really look forward to more comments from you, especially about this really very deeply layered issue that has now taken on almost a meta meaning beyond. Okay. This is time for me to go. A meta meaning with the multi-layered shooting death of Charlie Kirk, who was asked a question often about guns, and he believed in supporting the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms. And I would submit it's not just to protect yourself against the government. It is to protect yourself against dangers in the neighborhood where you live. Just talk to any black 2A gun supporters, and you will see what I'm saying. So it's a moral quandary, and it's not Charlie Kirk being a sociopath, which is, if you really watched him, you would understand. All right, have a great day. I will speak to you soon, you guys, and please comment. And if you like any part of this, or if you think that I'm thought-provoking, good and thoughtful and fruitful discussion, please follow and subscribe to this channel. I lost a follower after my live being sad about Charlie Kirk, so that was interesting. So please follow. That would be great.